Woman tries to get away with stealing at store by constantly bringing up expired products. Before I tell the story, I'll give some small context so the readers know how this happened and understand what the woman's thought process was. Sorry, I'm on mobile, but I want to get this out quickly while my memory is still fresh on it. I'm one of the leading cashiers at a grocery store chain. I've worked here many years now and seen a variety of people, including thieves, so I can pick up on it quite easy and have some tactics on how to discourage thieves at the register. One of the most common ways people steal at my store is using the sales tags. When an item goes on sale, it's because it's close to the expiration date. We tape on a sale sticker and put it on the sticker shelf. Sometimes people try to peel off the stickers and place them on more expensive items. These aren't automatic stickers and must be inputted manually by a cashier, which usually deters a thief, because the computer will prompt manager permission if a sale input is unusually large for the item. Sometimes it'll do this on a normal item if the price is raised before the sticker is updated. In this case, we compare the barcodes in the item and the machine, check the name matches, then confirm the price raise. If everything checks out, we'll call over a manager to allow the discount sale. The story begins with a woman learning about these discounts and trying to take advantage of it. I'm a primary cashier at the store, which means I'm up at the registers the most. Nobody else is at the registers unless I specifically request more cashiers, so I encountered this woman one-on-one multiple times and didn't think anything of it. The first time I met her, she brought me 2 loaves of bread, one normal one and one with a price tag. The first thing she told me before I even scanned them was that the sale item was expired, and she wanted it for a bigger discount than what the sale said. Per law, we cannot sell expired items, so I outright told her, no, I'm sorry, but legally I can't sell you this. I can ring up the normal bread, but the date on it is still more than a month out, so this isn't eligible for a sale. She didn't like this, but accepted it and left without buying anything. The next time I saw her was a few days later. She tried the same tactic, so I recognized her quickly. This time, she was wanting vitamins. Again, telling her that I cannot sell an expired item, but the date on the non-sale vitamins was close enough to where I could give a discount. She accepted it, bought the vitamins, and left. A few minutes later, she returned while I was in the middle of a large transaction and told me it was a tester bottle and if she could get a different one. I was a bit frantic at the sudden large order, so to save everyone time and give good customer service, I double-checked and confirmed the vitamin inner label was marked as tester and made a judgment. I let her get a different bottle without ringing her up, allowing her to keep the discount price I gave without the item being close to the expiration date. It's something I almost never do, but it was busy that day and wouldn't be an overall issue, especially when it was a tester bottle for some reason, which I found odd at the time a tester was even on the shelf, but wanted to offer something kind. After that, we hired a new cashier I'll name Kay for this. Kay was just starting out and still learning the basics, so I didn't want to overwhelm her. She had just completed basic training on the computers and was out on the floor. While the boss cashier was busy, I would sometimes call her over if she looked a little lost and tell Kay a bit how to use the register and some tips to make everything work faster. Sale theft wasn't one of the topics I had a chance to get to yet, since she was still learning how to apply the sale price at all. This particular day, Kay was at the register while I was working the floor. I had just had multiple tooth extractions the day before and was in too much pain to speak to customers all day. Kay was alright taking over and would page other cashiers to come up and help if she was too stressed out and confused. On this day, wouldn't you have guessed, but a certain familiar woman appeared at Kay's register. She told me this after the fact, so I knew what happened. Again, she had a sale item and a normal item and tried the same method. One was expired, the other wasn't. She wanted a large discount. Kay was in a panic, not knowing how to handle the situation. She said she had to call a manager to tell her what to do, and the woman suddenly got mad. She said she wanted a big sale, and cashiers have let her do it before, so just give a discount on the expired item. Not knowing what to do, Kay rang up the expired item and called up a manager to discount larger than the sale tag said without saying the item was expired. Kay told me she was afraid at the woman suddenly getting angry and didn't know how to say no without sounding rude. I told her that if the woman appears, The best thing to do is confirm the expired item and say we can't sell anything expired by law. She could have the normal item at full price if the date is good, but not the expired one. Kay looked relieved, and we also relayed the same sentiment to the other cashiers at the store to be on the lookout for the woman. Wouldn't you have guessed? She appeared once again. By this point, we all had an idea what she was doing and were briefed on her tactics. She came up to my register with her script. How she kept finding expired items, I have no idea. My bet was she was taking sale tags and moving them around and hiding close date items in the far back of the sale shelf to return to. She had 2 items, as always. Of course, one expired. Well, here we go. Back to this repeated dance. I confirmed the date and told her I can't sell an expired item, even at a discount. She pleaded to just give it to her. I reiterated, I cannot sell it by law. She could have the regular item, but it wouldn't have a discount. She said she didn't want it if it didn't have a discount. Just ring up the sale and give it to her. Kay had done it before. Why was it a problem every time she came to me? I told her Kay was still learning, and she wasn't speaking to Kay. She was speaking to the current elder cashier who was telling her that I had to refuse a sale on an expired item. The woman asked for a manager, which I was happy to page. The manager approached and asked what was going on. I gave her the quick rundown that she wanted to buy an expired item. The manager nodded with me and turned her attention to the woman who repeats what I said. They're right. We can't sell expired items for safety reasons. It shouldn't have even been on the shelf, and I'm sorry about that. The manager took the expired item and brought it back to the storage room to place in the bad product box. The woman was now fuming by this point. I asked if she wanted to purchase the normal item she had, and she said no. She wanted that one, and she didn't want it if it didn't have a sale. I said I was sorry to hear that, but didn't have much else to say. I already knew she was attempting to manipulate us in some way. Although I didn't entirely understand the plan with the whole expired item with a sale tag and fresh item without it, I knew it was fishy. Woman, you guys had it on the shelf, but I can't buy it. You're the only ones that stock it. I should just get it. It's already expired. I don't care about that. You're not going to sell it to anyone else anyway. That new cashier earlier let me get one. Me? Like I said, that new cashier was new and didn't know what to do. We can get in trouble if we knowingly sell an expired product and someone gets sick. Woman, I don't care about that. I wouldn't sue you guys if I did. I can't find it anywhere else. I'm a regular. Can't you do this one thing? Me, I'm sorry. I can't by law, but I appreciate you coming in often. Woman, is there another manager I can speak to? It's ridiculous you keep denying me sales. Do you treat everyone like this? Me, I deny expired item sales every time I see it. I promise it's not just you. Woman, whatever, just forget about it. She left without buying anything, but I get the feeling she's going to be back and try her tactics on another cashier. Unfortunately for her, every staff member in every department has been told about her in some way, so I doubt she's going to get very far. I know it's not too exciting, but I don't usually get people like this in the store, so she really stands out and I thought I'd share. Sorry if this is the wrong community to share it in. I wasn't really sure where it would fit. And now to the next story, Story 2. Trying to get back some of the items my half-brother inherited. So a little bit of context. I, 25M, and my half-brother, 50M, lost our dad, 69M, back in October 2022. He fought a long battle with cancer, but he is no longer suffering and in pain. My dad had my half-brother, we'll call him G, when he was in his early 20s and me in his late 40s. Unfortunately, his first marriage did not work out soon after he was born. Due to the circumstances following the divorce, Dad wasn't really involved much in his life, but he still cared enough to keep in contact with him. Not long before Dad's death, he explained to me how when I was born he didn't want to make the same mistakes he made with G, and how he wanted to devote all his time into raising me to be who I am today. That was one of the many things that still stick with me to this day. Fast forward to a few days after Dad's passing, G drove down to help with the funeral arrangements. While he was here, he contacted the storage facility where Dad left his valuables at. Since he was the only alternate listed, he had access to the unit where the both of us came, and cleared it out. We went to Dad's house to examine the guns and knives he left behind, and it really surprised me how many I didn't recognize being that me, and Dad used to go shooting at the range quite often. Now this is where the problem begins. Dad never had a legally signed will stating what went to whom. So me and G discussed that we would be splitting everything 50 to 50, cars, knives, belongings, etc. But before I could get a word in about the guns, he quickly stopped me and said that Dad doesn't want you to have the guns right away because he said you were too young, which I found extremely bogus being that Dad gave me one of his pistols before my 21st birthday. I asked questions like, so what age would you think I should have some of the guns? And why would you need 20 guns? What do you plan on doing with them? He was being very vague with me and refused to answer my questions. He told me, we will talk about this later. But the very next morning he was packing up the guns and his things before I realized what was happening. He was supposed to stay another day to help with the funeral arrangements, but he had to get back to his family and just left it to me. He wasn't even going to say bye until I woke up and saw that he was leaving. A year went by and now I'm engaged to the love of my life, and we just moved into a townhouse. I FaceTimed G and showed him the new place, and he congratulated me saying Dad would have been so proud if he saw me today. That's when I brought up the inheritance again. I told G that I am at a point in my life where I now have my own place and a soon-to-be wife, and that protection matters. Again, I asked him whatever happened to the guns that he took, and he replied with, just let it go, man. They're gone. Gone? Did he sell them? He ended the call, and after a few days I reached back out with, hey man, I'm not going to bother you a whole lot about the issue, but if you can give me a call, I just need some closure. He texted me with this response, it ain't all about you, man. Think about how you try to manipulate people to get what you want. I told you I left because I needed to get home and make money for my family. We did not have a lot of savings to fall back on. You keep throwing that in my face. I am drawing the line on manipulation, bro. I care about you and want the best for you, but I will not be manipulated. I will be hard on you like a father. I don't allow that with my kids. I hope fiancé doesn't allow that either. We are all selfish by human nature. I don't drive a 28,000 truck. I don't have a 70-inch TV. I also don't have $16,000 Harley. And I don't want those things at this stage of my life. I am living to see my kids grow up and be productive. I am happy for you, and that you have a lot to be thankful for is my point. Always remember, borrower is slave to the lender. I know you are a kind young man, and so is your big brother. Trust me. I gave myself some time to think about what he said, and I replied with, so I'm sorry if it seems like my demeanor is coming off as manipulative. Sometimes things sound better in my head than what I can say in words, so I apologize for that. I'm not trying to come from a place of greed. What I am more or less looking for is closure, because as a brother I at least deserve to know what you did, or what you plan to do with some of the items associated with the core memories me and Dad made together. Did you sell them? If so, that's perfectly understandable. You have a family to feed, and I would do the exact same thing if I was in your shoes. If that's what happened, then okay, we'll just leave it at that, and it'll be no longer up for discussion. Another thing is, while it may seem like I'm doing well for myself, but in all reality I had to make a lot of sacrifices to get to a point in life where I'm at least comfortable. Me and my fiancée had to drain nearly all our savings just to land the townhouse. Her parents were also gracious enough to help us with a lot of the furniture I showed you on FaceTime. And as for the Harley, I'm still in the process of trying to sell it to ease up on the new bills I've had to take on. So while it may seem like I'm trying to brag, I'm just proud of where I've gotten, and as a brother I felt as though I wanted to share some of that so you could see the accomplishments I've achieved. With that in mind, I've realized that it is more important than ever to protect the things I've worked towards, and now that the woman I plan on marrying is now under a roof with me, I have to protect her as well. It's no longer about me, but us now. And I know I could just invest my money over time to afford those items. However, me and her have been trying to save up our money to be able to afford the wedding we plan on having in the near future. One that I hope that you all would attend if we could resolve this issue soon. Again, I am not asking for much. However, there were a few in particular that Dad showed me a long time ago how to use, how to clean, how to load, etc. Me and him had made a lot of good memories with those, and it broke my heart when you left, not knowing if I will ever see those again. I even discussed this with fiancé, and she even brought up she would offer to buy back those items as Christmas gifts to me. Great woman, I know. I know what I mentioned above sounded very harsh, but there are some things in life that I simply cannot look past, and Dad's memories is one of them. I'm not trying to blackmail you or push you into a corner with this, but again, I just want the closure you never gave me. Like I said, I'm not coming from a place of greed, and if you had to sell them to provide for your family, that's okay, I get it. If you didn't, then please I implore you to give this some thought. I am no longer that wild young kid that used to drink a lot and have fun. I'm a grown adult now, and I hope that you've realized that this isn't about me not being old enough yet, or me trying to manipulate you, but rather me finally putting my foot down and letting you know that I'm not going to pretend everything is okay when it clearly isn't. I can't just let it go, man. I love you, man. You are the only brother I've ever known, and I have watched you raise a great family, and it's clear you would do anything to protect them. But please realize that I'm starting a new chapter in life, and protection means just as much to me as it does to you. Please take this into consideration. That was almost a week ago, and he still hasn't replied to me. Me and my fiancé do plan on seeing them for Christmas because I made a promise to my nephews and niece that I would see them for the holidays. Not sure how else I am gonna approach this situation without starting conflict between me and G. Any advice would help. Also, sorry if I don't have the best grammar. Thank you. And one last story, story 3. Complete memory loss on my last night in Santiago, and it terrifies me. After 2 months of studying in Santiago, it was my last night before leaving. After a farewell dinner with all my Chilean friends, one of my American guy friends convinced me to go to the club with him one last time. I had been drinking at the dinner, but little. My guy friend was chasing after a girl he'd been texting for a while, so I found a guy to talk to. He was older, but I was used to this in Chile since it's very common for clubs to be filled with older men. He looked Russian, which was incredibly strange in Chile. This didn't mean anything, but it stood out to me as unusual. We talked at the bar for a while, and the man bought me a drink. I was distracted, but I know he was holding my drink for a long time before giving it to me. I took 2 sips of my drink, and that's all that I remember until the next morning. I woke up with white powder coated on the outside of my lips. Disoriented, I didn't even think about it at the time. I called my guy friend, and he told me he found me drunk and incoherent, alone, and helped me home. I am so grateful to him. He told me he had no idea where I went, but that I probably just drank too much and I shouldn't worry. The day after was blurry to me, much more than a normal hangover. Or maybe it wasn't, and I am convincing myself it was. I have bruises on my knees and shins. These don't concern me too much because my guy friend said it was very likely I would have fallen in my state. What scares me is bruises on my arms. There aren't many but a few on my left arm that terrify me in their resemblance to finger marks. I told some of this to my guy friend, and he told me not to assume the worst. He reminded me alcohol can sometimes take a long time to fully take effect, then feel like it hits you all at once. I don't know if I'm frustrated with my friend for assuming something worse didn't happen, or if he's right in assuming that. I don't want to be the kind of girl who jumps to a conclusion accusing a man of something to avoid responsibility. If I got too wasted and made a fool of myself, that's my own fault, and I'm to blame. But part of me feels like that doesn't add up, and I'm terrified. Mainly, I don't understand the powder on my lips that morning. I don't know what to think, and I am just scared.